On the 2nd of May, 1985, a radio crackles somewhere in the mountains of Corsica. The message gets repeated twice because the first time, nobody wants to believe it. Car number 4 is down. Within minutes, the Tour de Corse comes to a stop on a stage called Zerubia to Santa Giulia. Drivers who were racing seconds earlier now stand at the edge of a ravine, staring down at what used to be a Lancia 037. Behind the wheel is Attilio Bettega, one of Italy's most respected rally drivers, a man known for never losing his head at the wheel. His co-driver climbs out of the wreck without a scratch. Bettega does not. It's the first time a professional driver has died inside a World Rally Championship event. It stuns Italy. It stuns Lancia. And within a year, this exact stretch of Corsican road will claim a second Lancia driver in a crash so violent it ends an entire era of rallying. But that's later. Right now, nobody watching this careful, quietly driven man knows how close disaster had already come on this very island 3 years earlier. Nobody knows about the tire decision made that morning. So what really happened on that 4th stage? A driver pushed past his limits by a car with almost no margin for error? Or something the investigation would later argue nobody could have stopped? To find out, we start in a small lake town in the Italian Alps. If stories like this are the reason you come to this channel, the moments motorsport history doesn't always sit with for long enough, then subscribe and stay with us. Attilio Bettega was born in February 1953 and grew up on the shores of Lake Molveno, tucked into the Trentino Alps in northern Italy. He wasn't drawn to football, the sport most Italian boys obsessed over. He disliked the aggression around it. What he loved was rallying. As a teenager, he wrote letters to Autosprint magazine, asking detailed questions about regulations and mechanics that readers twice his age couldn't answer. At 19, he entered the family Fiat 128 into a regional rally near Trento and finished near the back of the field. It didn't matter. He was hooked. Over the next few years, Bettega climbed through Italy's toughest proving ground, low-budget club rallying. Driving an Opel Kadett, he prepared himself. There, he met co-driver Isabella Torghele. The pair fell in love and later married. In 1977, at 24, Bettega won a factory-backed one-make trophy so convincingly that Fiat's motorsport chief, Cesare Fiorio, handed him a Works Lancia Stratos for one big event. He finished second, just behind the reigning world champion. Fiorio had found his next driver. By 1978, Bettega was a Fiat factory driver, and by 1982, he'd moved to Lancia's works team to pilot their radical new Group B car, the 037, rear-wheel drive, when the sport was racing toward four-wheel drive, powered by a supercharged 2-liter engine making well over 300 horsepower, wrapped in fiberglass and Kevlar around a bare steel frame. It weighed under a ton. There was almost nothing between the driver and disaster. That same year, on that same Corsican rally, the 037 nearly killed him. Bettega crashed into a wall on a mountain stage, breaking both legs so severely that one was in danger of amputation. The stage wasn't stopped, and he sat trapped in the wreckage while other competitors drove past him. He recovered. He came back more consistent than ever, finishing second at the 1984 San Remo rally, his best result yet. But by 1985, younger, faster teammates were closing in on his seat. Corsica, the island that had already tried to take his legs, was calling him back. The 1985 Tour de Corse wasn't just another round of the championship. Locals called it the Rally of 10,000 Corners, a ribbon of tarmac stitched along cliffs, through pine forest, around blind hairpins with no barriers and no room for error. One wheel off the racing line and a car built for grip could become a missile with nowhere to go. Bettega arrived fast from the very first stage, fighting his way into the top 4, exactly where Lancia needed him. The team believed the aging 037 could still win one more rally before the fearsome new Delta S4 took over for good. As the 4th stage began, a 31-kilometer test called Zerubia to Santa Giulia, Lancia's engineers chose a harder tire compound, built to survive the distance. Nobody could have known how much that choice was about to matter. The stage begins, and Bettega pushes hard exactly as he has all rally. Less than 2 kilometers in, the road bends right, fast, the kind of corner drivers take almost flat out when they trust their car. Bettega trusts his, but the tires haven't reached full temperature, still cold from the standing start, still short of the grip they're built to deliver. As the Lancia exits the corner, the rear steps out just slightly. Bettega corrects instantly. It isn't enough. The car snaps left, sliding off the tarmac before he can gather it back. It clips a roadside pole, and for a moment the 037 is airborne, dropping off the road into a ravine below. It doesn't stop there. The car slams into a tree, driver's side first, the impact striking exactly between the roof and the windscreen. The roll bar, the very structure meant to protect him, collapses under the force. It happens in seconds, the kind of sequence a driver has no time to process, let alone survive. Beside him, co-driver Maurizio Perissinot is thrown but unhurt. Attilio Bettega is not. Perissinot claws his way out of the wreckage and up the slope to the road. He is still recovering from a broken leg of his own, suffered the year before, and every step is painful. He remembers what happened to Bettega in 1982, trapped for a long time while the rally carried on around him. He isn't going to let that happen again. Competitors Mickey Biassian, Bernard Beguin, and Francois Chatriot reach the scene moments later and stop. Word reaches the organizers, and the stage is cancelled immediately. Medical crews arrive as quickly as the Corsican roads allow, but there is nothing left to do. Bettega was killed on impact. Perissinot, in shock, isn't told the full truth until that night. He has escaped without a single injury. What he saw, he carries for the rest of his life. In the aftermath, Motorsport's governing body, FISA, examined everything. The car, the road, the tires, the roll cage. What they found surprised some observers. The 037's roll cage, they concluded, had done its job. This wasn't a design flaw. Investigators believed almost any competition car of that era, hit at that speed and angle, would likely have produced the same result. It wasn't the machine that had failed. It was the geometry of one brutal impact, striking exactly where a driver has the least protection. Still, questions lingered. Some in the paddock pointed to Lancia's tire choice that morning, a harder compound picked for the long stage, one that takes longer to reach working temperature. Cold tires mean less grip in exactly the kind of fast corner that caught Bettega out. Officially, the conclusion was simple and uncomfortable. Sometimes, in a sport built on split-second margins and unforgiving roads, there is no single villain, just circumstances, aligned the worst possible way. What fans didn't know was how personal the pressure on Bettega had become. Behind the scenes, Lancia's younger talents, Mickey Biasian, and a rising Finnish star named Henri Toivonen were closing in on his seat. Bettega always insisted it didn't change his approach. Those close to him weren't so sure. Some believed he was pushing harder than his famously smooth style usually allowed, determined to prove the aging 037 had one great result left in it.